findings statement. Thank you, Mr. Clements. Then we also have a report from the building inspector. Is he in today?
No, he's not. He's ill today.
Huh?
He was out ill today.
That's why the building inspector. So what would the council like to do? Motion to approve or deny zone change as requested. Go ahead, Sarah.
I'm sorry. If we do move forward with this, I do have stipulations that I would like to see. Should I voice those now, or?
I think we need to make a motion in a second, and then on the discussion we can address. Once we get a motion in a second, we have to go to a finding of fact as well,
Right.
to base on that decision on finding of fact. So you could recommend any other changes at that time. So is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to deny the application, Mr. President. That's a motion.
Motion by Mr. Zelinski to deny the application. Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Second by Mrs. O'Hara. Discussion. Do you have a finding of fact to base that decision on?
I do, Mr. President. I have a finding of fact by listening to the applicant. The person they brought in, Mr. Patel, their statements to the town council. I also have, based on the facts that the folks have told us about, based on my site, walking on Georgiana, walking on Mr. Coney's property, looking at the properties. And based on what I believe to be a negative effect on abutting property owners and the value of their homes. Again, my main reason here is we don't know what's being proposed. I mean, if they were to come in and say it's going to be a church or a bank with certain hours, if they had a little bit more definitive, I'd be more favorable. But you heard me read off, but there were more. I stopped on the table. I was getting tired of reading them. And so, yes, the aquifer will come in and kick in. But, Mr. President, you must know that during review processes, many times things get discussed. Sometimes things do not get discussed, and a lot of times things are not forced, and that's a reason. So that's my finding of facts.
Mr. Solicitor,
Yes.
are those finding of fact sufficient?
You
Or
know,
do
this,
they need to be delineated better?
with regard to a denial, they have there's less chance of different circumstances for appeal. It's a very limited circumstance for appeal of council action. It's a legislative action. This isn't a board action. There's only really two grounds to overturn, to appeal. One is that it's not inconsistent, it's inconsistent with the comprehensive plan, or two, that the neighbors were able to demonstrate there's a negative impact on property values. But that's the grounds for abutters to appeal. As far as the applicant is concerned, the applicant is asking for legislative action, and their limitations on appeal are really limited to process sorts of issues, not as to the basis of your ruling, unless obviously it was based upon clearly illegal activity of the council. Outside of that kind of dramatic thing, the council has a wide berth here, because you're legislating, you're not the planning board of the zoning.
So, any close questions for the solicitor? So, Mr. Solicitor said that the council has a wide berth. I just want to speak for myself, saying that I've taken everything into consideration. And mine is pretty objective. I try to avoid subjectivity. Would you say that due process has happened here for this application?
I think the council has worked, obviously I'm prepared to defend the council's action. I believe the council has provided everyone with fair and due process in this hearing. He listened to everybody. He had 2 hearings, actually several hearings, plus 2 readings. As long as your decision is based upon the evidence, I'm very confident we'll be able to defend that if needed.
Thank you.
I'd like to ask one question. If the Russos came back citing exactly what businesses they wanted to establish there, which would be built there, they could then come back and ask for a change in zoning at that time.
I do not believe there's any statutory prohibition on repeat petitions for zone changes. Unlike zoning and planning, I'd have to check that, but I don't believe there's a prohibition. But keep in mind that filing this application obviously is a very expensive process, and so you should not use that as a reason. I would use it as a reason you can always come back. I don't think that's a good way to proceed. This could take a lot of time in the council. People have hired experts. Obviously, your own experts have spent a lot of time in the field. I'm just throwing that out.
Mrs. Bottomoli stated that she'd go forth with certain stipulations, but she didn't cite stipulations.
She hasn't yet, but I'm sure she will.
Mrs. Bottomoli speak.
Okay, if you'd like to hear my stipulations, since we don't know what is going to go in there, we have addressed that you now understand within this water supply overlay district what is restricted. You were given a copy of that. So what my stipulations would be is that the applicant is required to follow with strict compliance Ordinance 619 for the water supply overlay district for this entire area. The prohibited uses 619.6 A through L will apply to the new business highway designation for this entire area, and will also be adding that any registered or non-registered vehicles, residential, commercial, or construction equipment will not be stored within this area or kept overnight. And then a site...
Can you repeat that again, please?
There are prohibited uses for this water overlay area,
Okay.
A through L. Those, I think, were addressed with the building inspector with you. But along with that, I want to add that there will be no registered or non-registered vehicles, residential, commercial, or construction equipment to be stored within that property area or kept overnight.
How can that be? Even if you own the home there, you'd be parking your car there. I don't.
Well, no, once we know,
Okay.
I am looking that once
Yeah.
you have your plan what's going there, but this cannot become a storage area for vehicles.
Just storage.
Correct.
Your towing company storage.
Well, that is part of your other business.
Right.
You're not looking to expand to this new
No, we're
business
not.
highway.
No, we're not.
So then there should not be a concern.
Okay.
Where I know there's overflow of parking sometimes at Gators, that's not overnight parking. That can
Right.
still happen.
Absolutely.
But there's no storage of construction equipment, commercial, no storage whatsoever, or overnight. And then a site and privacy buffer of evergreens and shrubbery is to be installed and maintained along all of the residential boundaries, 5 to 8 feet off the property line, to the satisfaction and approval of the planning board.
There's already trees there.
they're not really privacy buffers.
Okay.
Because pine trees grow, branches break, I need a hedge. It's maintained all along the residential buffers. And it's approved by the planning board, not this board, the planning board. Those would be my stipulations.
I agree.
So I think it helps to relieve some of the idea of all those business highway businesses that would be allowed. You are restricted. You are restricted because of that overlay district water supply area. Questions?
I would also think that another stipulation would have to be that the testing of the well, or the testing of the area as well, to make sure that the water isn't contaminated. Personally, for me, this is a tough decision, just because I think it also has environmental concern as well. I know that the ordinance is there to protect the environment. I also know that in some of the ordinance, we can file for special exemptions. It looks like if, the technology supports it, so it's a trade-off, and I know it's a big leap of faith, not knowing what is going in there. I would almost rather see it as a business neighborhood development instead of a business highway. But I think the testing of the water there, and any business in the overlay areas, should be important going forward to make sure that things are in compliance.
The changes that I would like to see made is number 15 on the list. If sometime in the future, Area C is purchased, it will be combined with parcel B. Area D will be combined with parcel A, and Area D will revert to zoning district business highway. Right now, they're doing a split zone on those lots, and I would not be in favor of giving the zone change on that second parcel that was created, funny shaped parcel that was created.
Mr. President, could you just, I think for the record, you should state the map that you're referring to.
The map that I'm looking at is the one dated on 1/3/19, the last map that was submitted, and they did a split zone change on the residential, so that the rear of parcel A would still be residential, and the rear of parcel B would still be residential, but the front of parcel B would become business highway. And the whole point of them keeping the 150 feet was to make it a conforming lot. If it goes away, it becomes a business highway, and in essence, in theory, it makes it a non-conforming lot. If they're gonna go through the gyrations of saying, hey, we want a residential lot, so we can build a house back there, then it's a residential lot, it's not business highway. We want to keep that other piece of business highway.
So, Mr. President, you're referring to a footnote on that plan dated January 3rd,
Yep.
2019?
Note number 15. I would not agree to that.
Specifically.
I would not agree to that. I would not agree to that, and I wouldn't agree to the zone change in that, which is listed as Area D. I wouldn't want the zone change on that piece, just on parcel A, parcel B.
So you would prohibit zone change to parcel B under any circumstance at this point?
Correct.
Without further action, without a further petition?
Correct.
The survey has not changed, the ordinance. Yeah.
Well, I want this one, I want the zone change removed in that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's just not
Mr. Russo or Mr. Dodd, do you have comment on that at all? Or?
I don't understand I understand the first set of stipulations. I don't understand your stipulation. Could you repeat it?
The plan that you've submitted is parcel A and parcel B. Parcel B was what the planning board, the subdivision that the planning board approved to build a house lot.
Yeah.
What was submitted, though, they want business highway all the way across the whole front of that, both A and B.
Yes.
And I'm not in favor of it being on lot B. Because the stipulation, the note being that in sometime in the future, Area C is purchased, it will be combined, and that's kind of the whole thing to this, is that we could make a zone change. We've already created a house lot with the stipulation that the road is extended at Mr. Russo's expense. And now we're gonna create a lot with business highway on it. And the reality is that both of those lots could be sold tomorrow.
So are you saying, so you're saying you would want to limit this part not being business highway and split?
Correct.
Just this one, not that one?
Correct.
Okay.
So in essence, what's happening here, if this does not get approved, you have a minor subdivision, you don't have two residential lots. Is everybody, just want to make sure everybody's clear. I know you are.
Yes. No, I understand. Thank you for the clarification.
Any other comments, changes? Currently, there's a motion to deny. Call vote.
No.
Mrs. O'Hara?
No.
Mr. Oshia?
Yeah, so no.
I'm sorry, what was Mr. Oshia?
No. Just want to make sure that's.
Mr. Zalinski?
Motion to deny, yes.
I didn't understand the question.
Close the
Will
debate.
we-
Well, the vote's not complete, you can change the vote, if that's what you want.
You can do that.
The vote's not complete.
Yeah,
The
okay.
motion was clear, it was motion to deny. She said no.
Yeah.
We can go through the process of asking for
I'm sorry.
motion to be considered, Mr. President, but the vote's not.
How about for clarity, if I remove my motion, we start again? Would that make sense? The meeting,
I think we're calling the roll call now.
oh, okay, all right.
So I have to work
That doesn't
this
mean-
way?
So we're still voting. Are you saying that Mrs. O'Hara can reconsider her vote?
Not reconsider, she said she made a mistake, she's changing her vote. So right now it's 2 in favor and 2 against, but I understand the vote to be at this moment.
Did she change her vote?
Yes.
So you're voting yes to deny?
No, I'm voting to deny.
That's a yes vote.
Yeah.
Mr. President?
No.
Motion.
So the motion fails. Is there another motion?
I will make the motion to amend the zoning ordinance map to rezone a portion of Assessor's Plat 4, Lot 144, to Business Highway as shown on plan entitled Zone Change Map for John Russo, dated September 2018, December 13, 2018, and January 3rd, with the following stipulations. The applicant will be required to follow with strict compliance Ordinance 619 for the water supply overlay district for this entire area. The prohibited uses of the water protection overlay 619.6 A through L will apply to the new business highway designation for this entire area, while also adding that any registered or non-registered vehicles, residential, commercial, or construction equipment will not be stored within this area or kept overnight. A site and privacy buffer of evergreens and shrubbery is to be installed and maintained along all residential boundaries, 5 to 8 feet off of the property line, to the satisfaction and approval of the planning board, and that under the notes of the plan, item 15 will be removed from this area and will always remain zoned residential.
I would just, as further clarification, I would, rather than just refer to item 15, I would refer to the two parcels, the lots that were split by the planning board.
So references parcel B
Right,
would have no business highway zone.
exactly. I know you referenced the no, Councilwoman, but I just think it's
All right.
clear on the map.
So it is parcel B, area D, that item number 15 is referring to, and that will be removed from the list of notes, and that area will remain zoned residential.
Well tested.
Along with, how would you like that?
Let's see, so I know you have to test for your well every few years, but I think it's what, every 5 years is the major one? So I think every 5 years the testing of the well to be in compliance with what is recommended by the board.
Councilor, I can't hear you. Are you serious? I'm
So,
sorry.
so the testing of the well to be in compliance with what is recommended from, I believe it's DEM. I know every 5 years you have to test for all the major chemicals and everything. I think